Okay, so today for art class, we're going to do something a little fun using our letters that we were working with before, but they're slightly different now. Okay, so this gives us a depth perception by the way we've drawn the lines. Now, last day when we were looking at our art, we were doing depth perception, but it was slightly different. Now we're going to be going off into the distance so that you can see the depth of the letters. To begin with, we're going to go, here we go, to a piece of paper that I have here and some letters that we're using as a template. Okay, and then we're going to use our ruler. So you need to have all of these pieces in order to do this job. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to measure from the top of the page. We're going to measure, I'm going to say about 5 inches. No, let's do 4 inches. We'll do 4 inches. So measure 4 inches on one side, then go to the other end and measure down another 4 inches. Now we're going to take this line, these two lines that we have here, and we're going to join them together. Now when you do this, I want you to do it lightly, okay, so that you can barely see the line. So there you can barely see the line now, but we're going to erase it afterward anyhow. So you can just barely see that line here. You see that along the way there? Okay, now the next thing you need to do is I need you to take and measure the length of this paper. And this paper is 11 inches long, and we're going to take 5.5 and we're going to draw a line there, just a little spot. Then we're going to go down a little bit further and we're going to draw another line measuring 5.5 inches. So this point here is going to be very similar to this point that you see off in the distance, okay? But the other point that we first drew on the line right here, that's the center of our line. Now it is very important to find the center of our line because what we need to do now is we need to take our name and we need to print it out. So I'm going to print out my name just down here on the bottom. Michelle. I'm going to count my letters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 letters. I need to divide those letters by 2. So now for me, that means the center is 4 letters on one side and 4 letters on the other side. So if I had a name, say like Jason, Jason, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. If I divide that in half, I'm not left with a whole number. Instead, I have 2.5. So that means that the S would be right on this line right here, right by this center part. That's where I would put my S. But in this case, I'm doing my name. So what I'm going to do is pull down here. Now, my E is the first letter after the line. So I'm going to find the E. Let me just move this camera a little bit. And I'm going to put the E right there. Now I'm going to trace, and you can do this freehand or you can do it using a ruler, whichever you prefer. But I want to make sure that I have all of the letters for my name. And then the next letter in my name is L. So now I'm going to write the L. go. Tracy L. And I'm going to write another L, and then I'm going to keep going until I have all my name traced. Look at the page, and so I have everything on one side of the dot, the center dot, written out. I'm now going to start with the C because, or sorry, the H. The H is the letter on the left side of the center now. So we're going to take the H and we're going to place it about the same distance apart from all of the other letters. And now I'm going to begin tracing it. And like I said before, it does not have to be perfect because you're going to be going over these again with a darker color. And now I'll move on to the C. And as you can see, I'm not very good at drawing straight lines. Ooh. Let's see now. Now you'll notice that I have an I in my name. When you look at the letters on here, all of the letters are the same distance apart except for the I, or not distance apart, sorry, but the same width. The I is not the same width. So I know that there's not going to be as much on left side as there will be on the right side. So sometimes if you have to center a little bit more, if you have a letter I, then you may want to move the other side closer to the center when you go to write it out. And here we go. And draw my joining lines here. There we are. Okay, so now I have my first name on here. And I have this point here. Now, the next step is probably one of the most difficult ones, so you need to listen carefully. Now, we're going to be putting everything going off into the distance. So let's just take a peek at this image that we see here. So you'll notice that we see the bottom of all of the letters in the depth of it, but we do not see the top of that depth. So that's what we have to create by doing our art work. We have to create the bottom depth. Okay, so I'm going to take this. Let's see if I can straighten this out a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to grab my ruler. Okay, starting with the center letters, I'm going to join the corners all the way down to this point. Okay, so just lightly, not dark. Once again, it's light. All of the points. Now we're going to do this for all of the bottom, but you need to start from the left or the right, working to the center. That's a very important point. Okay, and you'll just slowly begin to see these letters begin to pop out. I don't know if you can see that very clearly. There we go. So I've got just about the left side of my name done. Once again, don't worry if it doesn't meet perfectly on that point. It does not have to be perfect. Remember, this is our first kick at the can, first time trying this. There we go. Okay, so you can see on this paper, Let me just hold it up here. You can see that the bottom is helping to the letter, these bottom lines are helping the letters to just pop out. Now we have to do the same effect for the top parts of these letters. And this is where it's important to be very, very careful. Now, you need to take each corner. So here we have a corner on this H here. And if I draw this line, am I going to be able to see part of that? And you can just barely see that depth. But I don't draw the line the whole way through the dot. I still line it up on it, but I don't draw it the whole way through. So let's see this top C point, line it up with the dot, but now draw until it comes to the first line. Same with this one here. Draw it until it comes to the first line or intersects with the first line that it meets. Now notice that we don't have to worry about the left side of these letters, and the reason why is because we actually will not see the depth of those ones. So there we go. And every corner that we think we're going to be able to see, we draw out. So now look at this. It kind of gives you that cartoon effect, or another way of thinking of it, I guess, is superhero. Okay, now let's do the same thing for the left side of our name. Now I'm going to pause this now until I'm finished doing my whole name. Okay, so I've got my name complete here. You can just notice that everything's beginning to pop in the letters here. And you'll also notice that I have various colors here for coloring and drawing. So what you need is you will need one marker and the same shade in pencil crayon. So you'll notice, for example, this green one, I have a dark green marker, and this is the dark green pencil crayon. So I've done that for all of these. And the reason why is because we're going to use shades of colors to create the depth. Okay, so let's see. Move this over a bit. So now I'm going to start with one letter. So I'm going to use my yellow for now. Now, what I'm going to do, actually, before I do this, I'm going to actually take a black and I'm going to outline my letter first of all with a thin black marker. Now, if you don't have a thin black marker, that is okay. You can use a pencil crayon. You just want to make sure that it's a dark outline. And there we go, just about done. Okay, I'm just going to pause this while I finish the rest of them. Okay, so here we have our paper again. So I'm going to grab this yellow marker and I'm going to start on the inside for now. So I'm just going to highlight or color, I guess, the inside of the first letter. Not the bottom part, just the main part of the letter. There we go. Make sure it's all filled in. I'm going to remove this paper from underneath here so it doesn't distract. There we go. So I have this one done. Now, when I use my pencil crayon, I'm going to be shading in the bottom part of this. So I'm going to go ahead and use the same color but in pencil crayon. You'll notice that it's not the exact same color as what I had, which I don't want it to be the exact same color as what I had before. Okay, there we go. So the bottom part is all shaded in. Now let's just take a peek at this. You'll notice here they have different colors for different locations on the letter. Okay, so what you want to make sure you do is that each of the letters, when you're coloring in these locations here, they're not all the same shade. Once again, as the depth changes, you want to highlight that change. And if it's all the same, then you're not going to be able to highlight it all too easily. Okay, so we'll bring this back over here. Okay, and just shade this in a little bit more. Okay, now if I want to, I can use the same shade here for the depth. Let's just see what it looks like. Okay, and here. Now later on we can go back and change that as we see what we think. Okay, so there is the E. The E has finished. I'm going to just put my colors back over here. And now I'm going to take the blue one and I will do the H. Now the nice thing about blue is that usually your crayon and marker sets have various different shades of blue. So you'll have a light blue and a dark blue. So right now I'm just using the light blue. But when it comes time to do the shading in, it will come in handy having the light blue. And then I'm going to grab my dark blue pencil crayon. So you can just notice barely the difference in colors there. But here we go. So I'm going to do, the first line is going to be the light blue. Okay, so here it comes out. Now I'm going to take the dark blue and use that color instead. Alright, so that you can still see the difference in the shadings as well as the depths. So color that in. Now we're going to go back to the light one and use it. Okay, so finish coloring in this one. Then I'm going to take my dark blue again and just color it in along here. Now, you can just barely see up here. I don't even know if you can actually really see it. Oh yes, there you go. So right here, you can just barely see the inside of that particular side. So now we have to figure out what color we want to use for that. So I'm going to use the light color for this one here. There we go. Now, after you're done all this, if you want to darken these in with your pencil crayon, you are more than welcome to, just to give it a little bit more vibrant color. And so I'm just going to turn this on pause for now, and I'm going to complete the rest of my name. So if you've already gotten this far, then you can begin working on the rest of your name. But make sure that each letter is a different color, because you don't want any kind of clashing to happen with the colors for the depth perception, okay? Okay, so I've completed the drawings here. I do have to finish this a little bit, okay? Now there we go. So now when you look at the yellow here, you'll notice that you still can't quite distinguish the differences between the colors. One thing that you can do to help kind of change that is I'm just going to take my orange marker here and I'm just going to put little dots along here to show that that's a little bit of a depth difference. And I'm going to put more dots along here. So just randomly put dots. And it just kind of gives a little bit of variation in color scheme. Okay. Now, when you look at the pink ones, the pink one is fairly light. The differences in it, now you can't even really notice it on there. Let's see. Let me hold this up a little bit. There you go. You can't really notice the light pink color. So what you can do there is you could take another marker if you want to and do something as well. So I'm just going to put little dots along in the light pink area. There we go. This just adds a little bit more depth to your coloring. It gives it a little bit of a contrast. There we go. And so any of the other colors that you might want to do that to, you are more than welcome to do that. So for the green one over here, I'm going to add little dots to this one here. So even though we can still notice the differences between it, just gives it a little bit of character. There we go. And there it is. So when you have finished, it may not be perfect yet, but remember this is our first time trying something like this, but you can really see how your letters pop out when you are finished. Now, if you want to go back over it again with another pencil crayon, just the black, to really darken up those edges, you are more than welcome to, but do not feel like you have to unless you choose to. But once again, it just kind of adds a little bit of depth to the colors and to the letters as well. Makes them stand out nicely. Okay, there we go. So hopefully you have fun doing this, and take your time to go through it. Don't rush it. Just be sure to do a decent job. Remember, you want to start by drawing your line. Then you're going to find the center of the line and find the center further down. And then you're going to start on the left side writing your letters out, and then go to the right side after you've split your name in half. Okay, then you want to color in each letter, and don't worry about the depth of it just yet. Just color in each letter, and then you start to draw the depth. Now, starting with the bottom parts, draw each corner to the point where it meets, and then go to the top ones. And remember, this line, for example, here, we can't see that it comes over here because it's hidden by this side of the letter. So you're only going to draw that line just to that point right there. Okay? So hopefully you have a good time doing this, and be sure to raise your hand if you have any questions.